and there's a few visitors here, welcome as well, and mostly importantly, gentlemen of Terrace. I spent 8 years sitting where you guys are today, so it's nice to, and very impressive to stand up here and look out over such a wonderful group. It's my great honour today to introduce my special friend here, but before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about the significance of today, May 20th, and its specific connection to Gregory Terrace. But first of all, happy Timor Independence Day to everyone. It's a fabulous day. Today is a special day for a special country. As Mr. Ryan said, East Timor is one of our closest neighbours. In fact, in the time that it takes to drive from here to the Gold Coast, you can actually fly from Australia to the capital of Dili. Dili is a dirty, bustling town full of motorbikes, outdoor markets, and some very, let's just call them adventurous drivers. I don't think there's any real road rules. It reminds me a bit of a teenager's room. Probably like some of yours. A bit messy, a bit chaotic, but really lively, and above all, free. Dili wasn't always like this. In fact, it's only just been a little over 10 years before independence on this day in 2002. Before that, and some of the footage in the clip that we just watched, was 25 years of soldiers and guns, of helicopters and warships, of fighting and fear. From 1975 to 1999, Indonesia's military regime invaded and occupied East Timor. That 200,000 people referred to in the video was a third of the population that were either killed or starved to death. Many of the survivors today that are old enough bear the scars of torture, malnutrition and oppression. Most have lost family members and friends. The most amazing thing to me is that through all of this, the Timorese people never, ever gave up. They wanted their independence, their freedom, and they sacrificed a lot for it, so that they could have their day, this day, today. Others went to stand beside them. One of them was a Terrace old boy, a top sportsman who played rugby in the first 15 and rowed in the first 8. His name was Dan Courtney. In 1999, he travelled up to the remote mountains behind Dili to teach people how to vote properly for their independence. As you can imagine, he wasn't particularly popular with the military. Those of you who have been, or this year go on the year's immersion in Timor, stay at Dan's Motel, which is named in his honour. One night last year, around the campfire, an old Timorese man, in fact it was the guy standing beside the guitarist with the green hat on, told me about a story about the night that the soldiers came to look for Dan. They wanted to kill him because he was there to teach the Timorese people how to vote for independence. But the villagers were one step ahead of him, and they hid Dan in the little room behind the church. They said that Dan could hear the soldiers' boots walking around on the floor as they threatened the villagers to try and give him up, which they didn't. Brother Dan passed away in 2010 after 10 years in a coma. He's been succeeded by others who are working there today, including Brother Frank. The Terrace Timor network was really started not by parents, but by students. You. In 2004, 2005, boys coming back from Timor mobilised their parents into action just like what Dan Courtney took. I'm sure if Dan were here today, he'd be very, very pleased to see his old school celebrating Timor's independence, something he risked his life for. I'm sure he'd be thrilled to see Terrace continuing to show support to the Timorese people. So today on Timor's Independence Day, we reflect on his life as an example for all of us that sometimes you have to take a stand for what you believe in. Today, we celebrate with a nation of people who collectively stood up for their freedom. Thousands of them died, so that now over 1 million of them can live. It's a bitterly sad story, some of the worst that people can do to each other, but it's also a story of the best of the human spirit. It's a story about modern day heroes like Dan Courtney, a man of faith and courage, a man who lived his convictions, a Terrace man like each of you. It's also a story of hope for a brighter future. Each one of you boys is a little bit like Timor, not 100% sure of your place in the world, but tackling the challenges of growing up as they come to you. This is what Terrace men do. One such man I'm lucky to call my friend, or our colleague in Timorese, is this guy, Roberto Vito. He's a great bloke, and many of you immersion boys call him mate. He's travelled here this week as an ambassador of his country, and is probably a little bit nervous about being up here on stage. But he has courage, like his countrymen. And today, on the birthday of his country, let's show him we appreciate it and give him a warm Terrace welcome. Welcome to Terrace.